I'm Kinsey Wilson, and today my speech is over doctors and nurses improving their communication skills with each other. The specific goal for this speech is work habits, technology, and attitudes, and how they can get in the way of working together and communicating efficiently. According to Irene Noguch in the State of Health article, medical errors are the third leading cause of death in America. To me, this is just absolutely crazy because I cannot imagine my loved one passing and it being because of a miscommunication between a doctor and a nurse, or a doctor and a doctor, or just in general. If it's something that could have been definitely preventable, I would be even more heartbroken than I already am. We should care about this issue because we want to make sure that we're receiving the best medical care possible. If doctors and nurses aren't communicating like they should, we aren't receiving the best care that we should be receiving. We would not want to be in a situation where our loved ones or we become fatal just because two healthcare individuals cannot learn how to communicate with each other like they should. I became mostly interested in this topic when I became interested in the medical field. I watch a lot of medical shows, mostly Grey's Anatomy, and I noticed how many times their communication, got in the way of them working together like they should. And so with that, I wondered, how many times does that happen in real life? Does that happen when we go to the doctor's office and they can't agree? Does that happen when it's a severe emergency and they can't agree? So with that, I just really wanted to look into it more, and with this speech, I got the opportunity to do that. So the first point is, what keeps doctors and nurses from communicating better in the first place? And the biggest thing I have seen is technology. And in a 2012 article, Communication, a Dynamic Between Nurses and Physicians, it says that communications are messed up with technology. Dead on technology. Pagers, cell phones, trying to send emails that don't get sent right or that don't get sent at all. They are messing up communication. A lot can get lost in translations, when you're typing something over email. Someone may, refer to something that someone doesn't understand. Someone may interpret something that's not right. There's just a lot that can get lost in communication. A doctor writes sloppy, so a nurse may not be able to read his or her handwriting. So within those, if a doctor doesn't answer his phone, then what? Does a nurse guess and hope it's not life-threatening? Does she try to have another doctor read it? There's just a lot of things that can go wrong with technology. I really like this quote that says, communication, such as pagers, patient inboxing, and electronic ordering systems can contribute to increased errors. Use of these methods may misrepresent the urgency or the tone of communication received. Due to communication malfunction, a message may not be received at all, which goes back to what I said. Computers are tricky. I know I have sent emails and they're like, well, I didn't get that. And I'm like, well, I sent it. So that's a big thing. Another thing that keeps them from communicating better is nurses and doctors may be afraid to speak to one another. Mostly nurses being afraid to speak up and voice their opinions because, according to a January 2007 nursing article, physicians were described as rude, dismissive, and intimidating. I know if my boss told me, hey, this is right, you're wrong, I would say, okay, you're the boss, you're higher up than me, you have more education than me on this, so you probably know. So for a nurse to disagree and call out a doctor is a big deal, and I don't know how well and comfortable I would be doing that. So I completely understand where that comes from. Another main point is it's very, very important for, even in general, for us to respect each other's thoughts and opinions. So coming down to doctors and nurses, it's really important for them to respect each other's opinions. They always don't agree and they may contradict each other, and that's not okay. You can disagree, but you still have to respect them. And with that, they don't respect each other if they are constantly saying, no, you're wrong, I'm right, you're wrong, I'm right, and that can be an issue. A doctor might think a nurse is below them, and that's not okay either. Just because they have a higher education does not mean they are better than a nurse. A nurse is just as helpful to a patient as a doctor is. And a nurse may also get jealous that a doctor is a true healer, which I have heard many times, but a nurse also plays a very, very important role in a patient's stay at the hospital. So overall, obviously, poor communication between the two health individuals affects the patient the most. There have been times where nurses and doctors' communication has affected the patient. They don't relay information. What if he's allergic, for example, to penicillin? And a nurse doesn't relay that to a doctor, and it's such an emergency situation that the chart doesn't get to the doctor in time. If that nurse doesn't tell the doctor, that is a big deal because that is life-threatening. Not only could, they be administering the wrong drugs, but that's on the nurse for the doctor not receiving the right information at the right time. Doctors and nurses are extremely important in the health field, which is why it's important that they communicate and try not to make mistakes. Mistakes do happen. People are human. It happens. But for a doctor and a nurse to communicate, I feel as if their communication will, the more they talk, the better they're going to get with each other, the more comfortable they're going to get. And you don't have to be the best of friends, but being able to talk to someone is a huge deal. And I feel like the more they talk to each other and the more they can agree to disagree, that the patient will receive the best care that they can. I mean, obviously, doctors and nurses want to do a good job and make people feel better. After all, that is why they obviously got into the healthcare, went through all the school that they did, just so they can better serve their patients. And I know that is important to them. So I think communication and improving it is the best thing that they can do for their patients and all of us.